My hunch is that the question we need to ask ourselves is, how do we create meaningful ways of earning a living that combine multiple ways of being? Because none of us want to just be one sort of person, and that was the mistake that we made with the industrial shift, was the shift towards one way of being. It was your identity was this factory job or this office job that you constructed. And actually, I think the real challenge is to say this is a shift towards multiple modes of occupation, multiple forms of employment, isn't just, although it brings risks, it isn't just a shift towards a precariat, towards a new precarious existence. It's also a way of fulfilling different ways of being human at the same time. So the question is how do we create an economy that allows us to express what it means to be fully human in all of its complexity, in all of its multifariousness? And that's not a question about how do we make the economy work. The problem that we have in terms of how we think about the future in education is we tend to either operate with one dominant vision of the future and we figure out how to plan to get there, or we throw that out of the window and we say, hell, we need to figure out how to cope with uncertainty. Both of those positions aren't particularly helpful. So what we're seeing emerging is a new science of anticipation, which allows us to recognize the way in which our ideas and our assumptions about the future operate on us in the present. So it starts from the premise that the challenge isn't to figure out how to predict the future. The challenge is to figure out how to live well, how to uncover the creative possibilities of the present, because we don't know the future. Universities have got lots of different possible futures. One of them is the possibility of a complete breakdown of the university purpose and values, which is the technologically driven trajectory towards university education simply as training that gets you a qualification and a bit of paper at the end of it. And at that point, we're really in trouble, because it means we will have lost the public space for thinking. So my take on what universities are for is that universities are spaces for societies to think about, to debate, and to understand their possible futures. That means we need to protect them in some form that creates space for civil society dialogue. At the same time, we've got technological developments and we've got commercial imperatives coming in that are constructing the idea of the university simply as pile them high, sell them cheap, get a certificate at the end and you're all done. So there's real uncertainty as to where the future of the university is going. The universities, as they are at the moment, just may not exist in that form in the next 15, 20 years. So if we're talking about educating kids now, we need to be thinking, what education do they actually need? Not how do we simply move them on the conveyor belt to the university and then ostensibly to the job? Because the simple fact is a university degree, even from the best university in the world these days, does not guarantee you security, well-being, and an income for life. We need whole different measures for how you build that sort of security in your life.